Number one, not 1%, number one. So if there's 300 of you and you're number 2, you're still in the top 1%, you may not be accepted to the Ivy League if you're in a poor area. It's very interesting. Number one. You know, in some cases, obviously, some students get to the Ivy League. They deserve it. They've earned it. But it's basically who you know, not what you know. And the Ivy Leagues, for instance, and so many colleges, if you're a legacy, in other words, if your parents went to that school, your grandparents went to that college, and they give money to that college, you're automatically accepted. And legacies can make up anywhere from 20% of people who are accepted to maybe half. So, and the rest is then after they're accepted because they're a legacy, that leaves open for whomever is left. It's amazing. Credentialism involves evaluating a person on the basis of educational degrees. Okay. You know, credentialism is increasingly common in highly technological societies. This is like the United States and Western Europe. It has encouraged overeducation, that is, a situation in which workers have more formal education than the performance of their occupations requires. Yeah. In other words, you're doing all this education, and it's way more than what the job requires. Just interesting. And this costs, why I'm saying this costs a lot of money to do all this formal education and a lot of time. And if you look at the job that the person gets, they didn't need all this education to do that job. So you can see how this is all big, all business. A lot of money is being made here. And there's a lot of money that, you know, when people graduate from college and from, you know, say graduate school, they owe a lot of money, a lot of people, even before they start working. You know, because of the loans in order to just to go to the college. That's very common. I don't know what the percentage is of students getting loans to go to college, but it could be as high as half. That wouldn't surprise me. It may be higher, maybe a little lower, but half is, around half is a lot. Okay, yeah. A lot of times in school, you know, they teach you, you know, to obey, to be the same. You can see in line there. You know, you have a pyramid system in which where you have tracking. The higher the class, the better the education. Competition over jobs, so that encourages over-education for jobs. And also, a lot of times there's certain things that the school teaches. They don't teach all types of things. They don't teach enough science. They don't teach enough math. It's almost as if they're teaching 1 and 1 equals 3. Okay, education again. The 4-letter word of the day, boys and girls, is no. No means to be aware of. And it's important that we know what's going on, especially our education system. It's nowhere near what it should be. Okay, it's being taught just to teach us enough to do a job, to stay there longer, where we wind up owing money. In a sense, we're being overeducated for our job that we need to know, and paying all this money, and then your child winds up in debt even before they start the job. The letters K-N-O-W is part of the word knowledge. Knowledge means information. Schools in an economic democratic place will teach knowledge for knowledge's sake, not for profit's sake. Okay, and that's what it, you know, knowledge for knowledge's sake. Okay, not to major in something just to get this job, but knowledge, you're going to learn a lot of different things in life. Okay, and this is very important. I mean, people go through college, they hardly take any science courses, they hardly take any art courses, any social science courses. What did they learn? They go through college, you know, you got students that go to college, boys and girls, they never took a history course. How did you go to college without taking a history course? Think about that. Knowledge for knowledge's sake. Learn what the history is. Learn science. Learn the arts. Think about it. People go through all this education from the first grade to college, and they don't know how to draw, they don't know how to play an instrument. You know, what were they taught? Okay, they go through college, they don't know anything about nutrition. They go through college, they don't know anything about some basic farming. These are very important things, aren't they? Isn't this basics of life? Knowledge for knowledge's sake. They didn't take a science course? Now think about that. What are we being taught here? You go to college, most people go to college, there's 3 degrees they major in. And here's the truth. 80% of all jobs, if you know how to read and write, you know how to do the job. So if you set up a college where you're supposed to have knowledge for knowledge's sake, you should be learning so many different things. You go to college and you just major in business, that's your biggest major, some sort of business major. What's that? I mean, and then once you graduate, whatever job you do get in business, in the first 6 months, the job teaches you what you're supposed to know as far as their job is concerned. You didn't need all that degree. You didn't business. And you take all business courses and you didn't learn anything about science, art, and that doesn't make any sense. Where's knowledge for knowledge's sake? In an economic democratic society, we're going to have knowledge for knowledge's sake. We're going to learn all, as best we can to try to reach people, all the knowledge, all the information that's out there as best as possible. The knowledge will involve science, art, and humanity. Need to develop freedom schools. In other words, we have to, in order to change things, we got to set up voluntary schools. People have to volunteer, to teach kids in parks, this is after school, in people's homes, in church basements, wherever, to prepare for an economic democratic society, as we're talking about freedom schools. Also to teach certain things, how to better reading, writing, science, wherever possible. It's definitely more science if a person has scientific knowledge. Not to volunteer to keep this system going, to volunteer to change this system, to teach kids to prepare for a third party, to prepare to build a big union. So we form a third party, a people's party, and we vote that in and start, for an economic democratic society. These schools will teach workers on how to how to set up a real union, to set up a political party, to give the power to the workers to where it rightfully belongs. Because it belongs to the workers, boys and girls. They do all the work. So they deserve the power. They deserve the rewards. Look at it. Here's a quote. All men naturally desire to know. That is being a human being. That was Aristotle. That's true. Human beings desire to know. More and more knowledge. What is out there? That is what makes human beings naturally desire to know things, to find out information. Knowledge is the antidote to fear, Ralph Waldo Emerson encouraged. That's right. To overcome all our fears, you have fears of a different group, someone who's different from you. If you have knowledge about that group, you're no longer afraid of them. Knowledge is the antidote to fear. If all the people of the world, all the workers have knowledge, scientific knowledge, knowledge of art, knowledge of humanity, there's no more fear. A man is but what he knoweth, Francis Bacon in Meditation Sacrée. Yes. What makes us, when you look at a person, what makes him him, or what makes her her? It's what he or she knows. That's what makes them what they are, who they are. It's what they know. That's a big part. He's right. And in an economic democracy, boys and girls, knowledge for knowledge's sake. We will be able to develop to our potential, not go through life saying, so many people go through life, probably most people, they never reach anywhere near their potential. And that's in a market economy. Now, in all fairness, boys and girls, to a market economy, it's better under a market economy than a peasant society. But now we've had a market economy starting in England for over 200 years, and it seems like there's no more improvement going on, no real improvement. It's time for a change, especially when we look at education. A man without knowledge, and I have read, may well be compared to one that is dead. That's Thomas Ingeland in The Disobedient Child.